Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Armchair Politicast, the news show produced by two British idiots with a love for debate. And I am your host, John Dinsdale, and I am joined, as always, by my glorious co-host, Carl Valley.
Oh, Valley, hello, here I am.
Today we've got a bit of a spicy one because
Oof,
it's probably going to piss some people off. Mostly,
no,
mostly
talking about
bald
politics never
eagles.
pisses people off.
And I feel like the bald eagles might be a bit upset.
Yeah,
Some fans of walls. In fact,
mm,
no, both sides,
I
to be
do love a
honest.
good wall.
Let's face it, we're probably going to piss both sides off for this one.
Hadrian's Wall, Great Wall of China, some nice walls.
The wall that keeps zombies out in any zombie movie that inevitably collapses in on
Mm,
itself, giving us the third act and a lot of death.
yeah, good until that point. Fantastic walls.
Well, in America, though, was a bit shabby. And I'm
It
surprised it
wasn't a
hasn't
wall,
fallen
it
into
was
a
a
river yet.
gate. No, not a gate, but a fence. Well, actually, with how easy it is to get through the fence, may as well be a gate. Like you've seen all those videos of people just either climbing over or slipping through the bars because the gaps that wide.
It's like I was watching old videos from like when it was being constructed, like
Mm.
last year, the year before, by like a
Yeah,
really shady construction company, and it's already
yeah.
began to erode, which means it'll probably
Shock.
collapse in on itself within a year.
I don't believe it. What a shocker.
Anyway, we're getting off topic. Today we are covering the messy world of the American political system with a nice little bit of history, some fun facts on how it's cannibalized itself in the past and how it is currently cannibalizing itself now.
Gotta love it.
But first, we just wanted to do a little sort of roundup of updates since our last podcast, where we covered Israel and Palestine, because we were talking about Israel electing a new government, and by God, they actually did it.
Only
In
just.
yeah,
Which it was always going to be, but geez,
it
it
was
was
not a
closer.
strong result for the party because they won with 60 people voting yes, 59 voting no, and one abstaining. They won because of an abstain. It's not a very strong
No.
mandate.
Hey, finally got rid of BB, so it's all fine.
Well, for now.
And this government is going to be so strong and stable, get so many good things done. I'm sure.
Well, as it stands right now, Naftali Bennett looks to be almost exactly the same as Netanyahu, just harsher on
Yeah.
foreign policy.
Fortunately, it doesn't matter how harsh he is as the prime minister. It matters for the rest of the party supporting him.
Yeah,
Like it's quite good for it's such a range of parties of this coalition because he can't just be this absolute extremist because all the other parties could just pull out the coalition and it would just collapse immediately.
it's funny. The article I'm looking at for this just has like the funniest picture of just Bennett sort of. It's like, it's all right. You lost, but it's all right to
Yeah,
Netanyahu.
that's a good one. Oh,
So as it
poor
stands
Benji.
right now in the structure of this coalition, Naftali will be prime minister, and
2 years
yeah, and
and it'll
then
be taken over by Yair Lapid.
unless things go
Unless it
tits
all
up,
falls apart. Yeah.
yeah, in which case Bennett will be just ousted like Netanyahu was here.
But segue, the Israeli prime minister does not have as much power as the leader of the country that we're focused on today, America's president.
Indeed, we are here to discuss basically the American political system, how it came to be, some of its historical failings, and more importantly, just how messy it has gotten over the past couple of weeks. It's it's
The
quite
true bastion
fun.
of freedom of democracy that is America.
Well, it's
Who
interesting because we
is?
always love to complain about our political system over here and how,
Yeah.
oh, we never get anything done, or It's just a bunch of people bickering, or Boris Johnson is an idiot, or blah 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 blah
I
blah.
mean,
But
that isn't wrong.
yeah, but I mean, looking at just how much the American system has shit itself the past few weeks
Yeah,
is beyond the pale almost, because they're
and
not
at
going to get
least we're a
anything
true
done at this.
functioning democracy, unlike America. Some fun little things here. Democracy Index rates them as number 25 of all countries as a flawed democracy. And another site, Democracy Matrix, rated them number 36 as a deficient democracy. So you'd think the bastion of democracy would be number one, but no, they're quite far down, all things considered.
It's quite interesting because instead of having a first past the post system, they have the Electoral College, which gives some states more leverage than others. And as such, a president can lose the popular vote and still end up in power.
It's
It's
a
quite
rare
interesting.
thing, rare thing. It's only happened 5 times before. In 1824, it was John Quincy Adams. He lost popular vote, but he became president. 1876, Rutherford B. Hayes. 1888, Benjamin Harrison. More recently, 2000, George W. Bush. And 2016, as everyone will remember, Donald Trump lost popular vote, but still became president.
But that was because there was like 3 million fake ballots that they never got rid of, right?
Obviously, yeah.
All that vote
So,
fraud
so much voter fraud all the time. God.
and all that witch hunting.
Mm.
Uh,
Though, with how the Electoral College works, they don't really need to follow the will of the people anyway. The electors in the college could just vote whoever they want in. They don't, obviously, because people would be rightfully upset. But they could go against the will of the people entirely and just vote someone else
I mean, they can do that anyway because they just block anything that a president wants to do,
in. Yeah.
which is what we've seen a lot of lately. Uh, to anyone who follows news, we are about to dissect Joe Biden's absolute shambles of an
Oh, he's so
infrastructure
good.
plan and the process that it's going through. So
Actually,
originally, this plan started as well, they wanted to do more, but they couldn't feasibly do it. So it was going to be a $2 trillion infrastructure plan with a lot of focus on transport networks, the environment, and a whole host of other things. We're not going to break down the entire plan because we'd be here all day. But basically, a lot of money focusing on a lot of things and a lot of services. Of course, Republicans didn't like that. So it was instantly rejected.
but they're
Uh,
the party of the people. Why wouldn't they want that?
And sadly, no one was surprised because Mitch McConnell has continuously said that the Republican Senate will continue to block anything Biden wants to do.
Because that's some democracy right there. That's the will of the people.
Yeah, it's
To hell with what the
impressive.
people want. It's like, especially the minimum wage bill. That was really to hell with what the people want, because that's the most popular bill in recent history across the political spectrum. But the Republicans were completely against it.
Uh,
Republicans wanted it, Democrats wanted it, everyone wanted it, but Republicans just nope. The Democrats are supporting this, so no. Screw what the people want.
this is it. We've got this grand illusion of bipartisanship and the fact that two governments can work together. But no, they really don't.
Bipartisanship is stupid. When you have the power, exercise the power. I'd say this for the Republicans as well. Like, this is what loses the Democrats' midterm elections. It's happened before under Obama. They didn't exercise the power enough in his first term, lost the midterms.
And this is a problem
And
because it just continuously cycles round in this stupid way because you've got a roadblock anytime you try to pass anything. It's like, oh, I will promise this for my people until Mr. Toad blocks it in the Senate.
yeah, God.
Ugh.
He's a character, Mitch McConnell is.
He turned into a hero at the end of the Trump presidency, and then all of a sudden he's just back
Yeah,
being a villainous old
a
fart.
hero's a strong word. He was, less scummy for a little bit than most of his colleagues,
It's like, I
but
will
he's
hold the president
still, like the rest of
accountable.
the party, simps and just bends over backwards for Trump. Because the Republican base simps and bends over backwards for Trump, which is really creepy.
Well, this is it. They
It's
destroyed
like
their
just a
own party
cult.
to such a degree with Trump that even before Trump, they have no real direction of anything they're doing. It's ridiculous. If you watched the Republican Party from like 2015 through to now, it has literally just been Trump. And it's not because they picked him as a presidential candidate, it's because they had no one else with any personality.
Yeah, I can't think of any prominent Republicans, would actually stand a chance of becoming president
It's like
that have that presence.
Mitt Romney failed, John McCain failed,
Yeah,
everyone failed, and then all of a sudden Trump's here.
and
And
the
because
Republicans wouldn't support Mitt Romney because he's actually one of the good ones sometimes. He's probably one of the more left-leaning. I say that like
very
very
much in
hesitantly.
inverted commas.
Yeah, but he is one of the less right-leaning, less Trump-supporting Republicans that there is, and he votes against the Republican Party at times, which is, a rare thing to see. He'd never get the support of the party.
So back onto the infrastructure bill, Biden capitulated, as he has done for the entire term so far, and severely reduced the bill. It's now only 1 trillion, and a lot of stuff was taken out of it, including a lot of environmental reforms, which pissed off his own party.
Shock.
As we have soon started seeing more and more Democratic senators are now refusing to vote for the bill on the grounds that there's nothing in it anymore. There's no
Yeah.
environmental
God, global
reforms.
warming doesn't exist. It snows. How can the globe be getting warmer when snow exists? Checkmate.
Next thing you know, you're believing 5G causes magnetism in vaccines.
Well, duh, of course it does. God, who doesn't believe that? It's such a obvious logical thing to believe in.
I'm still not over that anti-vax nurse trying to prove that she was magnetic and the key just continuously
Stick things to herself. It's just like falling off her.
bloody
Like, come
Ohio.
on.
You can't even do your bloody scamming right.
No.
All she had to do was put glue on the key and just be like, oh, it sticks. But of course,
It's impressive. It's really something.
though before we even got to the point of like more Democrats turning because Biden was capitulating too much, we have two politicians who just don't want to work with Biden to begin with. And those
Dude,
are,
totally Democrats and not just secret Republicans.
we have, of course, mentioned Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. Oh boy, have they become popular lately.
I mean, everyone who supports Manchin says, "Oh, well, no one else could have won in such a red state. He did such a great job turning them blue." You know how he won? Because he's not an actual Democrat. He is basically a Republican. That's how he won a Republican state.
And much like the Republicans, he and Sinema have just blocked everything Democratic in the spirit of bipartisanship, which, as we have discussed, is completely dead. You see why we kind of look on in confusion here?
Yeah.
You've built this system that used to work because people used to work together. You invented something to make working together even more like necessary in the filibuster that has been used so liberally for no reason in many of occasions that it's now biting you in the arse. And you've got two Democratic senators who have defended the filibuster and will not work with Biden to get his own infrastructure bill passed when he's president.
I mean, the filibuster is a super interesting one. Anyone who doesn't know, this means that uh, filibuster allows senators to stop any votes from happening until 60 senators vote to stop a debate on any issue. So, but getting rid of it benefits whichever party is in power at the time. So, when Republicans are in power, if they get rid of it, it'll help them. And Democrats, who are against it now, I should say, when Trump was in power, they used it quite liberally. They used it a lot to stop Trump doing stuff. There's a checkered history.
Yes, it was originally been like, oh yes, the filibuster will be used to make sure the minorities will have a voice. What they don't sort of clarifies it means political minorities. A lot of the time, it was used to cut down anti-slavery bills, human rights bills, and equality bills.
It's just gotten rid of just on the basis that majority means a majority. If 51 vote for something, that's a majority. 60, it's just stupid.
Especially when we've gotten to a point where neither party is going to work with each other because neither party can work with themselves.
There's no internal things going on in any of the parties. Republicans, super happy with all of each other. Democrats, super happy with all each other.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, if that was the case, would they really be currently cutting into Senator Ilhan Omar for basically pointing out the fact that we should probably be investigating the causes, the fallout, and the casualties of Israel and Palestine? And
So you can't
investigating.
criticize Israel in America. It's anti-Semitism.
Thing is,
So
though,
she deserves it.
she
She's not a
wanted
true Democrat.
she wanted it to look at both sides so you could see what Hamas did and the Israeli government. And sure,
Yeah.
she said damning things about both sides
Oh
again.
yeah, because they both should be damned.
And her own party is cleaving her up for it
That's
because
because America's complicit in what happens over there. It's why the Republicans stopped anyone looking into what happened in January with the bloody trying to overthrow the government with the insurrection. Because the Republicans are complicit. They don't want to investigate themselves.
oh god, have you seen the newest sort of person to take credit for the insurrection?
No.
I saw it on Twitter. I don't know how legitimate it is, but my God,
Okay.
did it make me laugh.
Yeah.
Alex Jones
Oh
of
yeah.
InfoWars fame has claimed that the government tasked him with putting it together, gave him
Oh
$500,000 to organize it, and he was given
wow.
direct orders to lead people to the Capitol building.
Okay, like I find that part very hard to believe. But he was complicit because I'm pretty sure he was there on the day. He was
Yeah,
riling people up.
that
But
wouldn't
I don't think he
surprise
was
me.
paid to do it. Though, it might have happened. I just saw a picture recently with the head of the Proud Boys having dinner with Mitch McConnell in a Trump Plaza hotel shortly before the insurrection.
Yeah, here it is. Thank you, Newsweek, for oh God, cookies, trials. I don't care. Don't just let me. Calls for Alex Jones' arrest roll out after his 500K donation to January 6th rally resurfaces.
Jeez.
Right-wing radio host Alex Jones is facing online calls for his arrest after social media users resurfaced the conspiracy theorists' nearly 500k donation to a January 6th rally that preceded the Capitol riot.
God, he's a special person, is Alex Jones. I do hold a soft spot for him.
God. We used to think that Alex Jones was the world's greatest troll.
Yeah.
Like, in the many, many conversations that inspired this podcast leading on the day, we used to assume that Alex Jones said the things he said because it would get people talking and he could sell his products. And the amount of ads he plugs in each InfoWars show would greatly back that up. But I don't know. With something like this, oh, sorry about that. Alfie's seen a delivery man outside.
Oof. He's protecting the house. He's a hero.
But yes, Alex Jones is like the world's greatest con man. Yeah, he might also believe the bullshit he preaches, which
honestly, I hope he does. I want him to believe in little green goblin men and satanic cabals. That's just hilarious.
they're putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? It's like, oh my god.
No, I don't.
How did he have 500k to burn on a rally? That's what worries me. He's always complaining about the fact that his show is in dire straits, but that's got to be bullshit.
No, God, well, because he sells so much shit. He has those health supplements that he
Caveman
sells as
gone.
well. Gotta love the bone broth. Anyway, so we've gotten a bit off topic here.
Well, I mean, we could genuinely talk about how Democrats couldn't even get a bloody investigation into the insurrection through the House when they could have just literally been like, right, we're going to do this anyway, fuck you.
Exactly. But no, gotta be bipartisan. They can't do it with the Republicans. Why do it at all? Because it was the Republicans that were involved.
Exactly. This is less of a political investigation, more of a criminal investigation into how something like this was allowed to happen, how it was pushed by people in power. If a lot of Democratic voters suddenly stormed, I don't know, what are the buildings are there?
Oh God, any state building.
Literally, if Democratic supporters did anything, that the Republicans would have pushed something through. If the roles had been
they wanted to when all the BLM stuff was going down. They wanted to really crack down and investigate and severely punish anyone who was going anywhere near any state buildings at that time. But now that it's their side, that it's actually inside of the Capitol building, it's got to turn a blind eye. Oh, didn't happen. It was just a peaceful protest. Everyone, just calmly walking through there, having a good time. Nothing bad happened. No human feces was smeared in the building.
Looting, vandalism, people jumping off railings and getting themselves killed.
People dying and being injured. It was just a nice, calm day out.
It's just a teddy bear's picnic in one of the most important buildings in their state's capital.
Yeah.
At the head of the political system, whilst politicians were trapped inside. Just completely wholesome. Didn't need a criminal.
Just Friday, honestly.
And the worst thing, for all Biden's failings, for trying to push his people into action, to push the other parties into action, to continuously be bending over backwards, he's still turning less blind eyes to the way of the world than Trump did.
God, yeah. At least he's, not making buddies with autocratic dictators.
No, we're not seeing it.
He's not praising Kim Jong-un and Putin. He's not, being best friends with people that are, technically America's enemies.
giving giving the leader of Turkey a green light to attack Syrians.
Yeah, 'cause, Turkey's Turkey, the Turkey, great track record with people in their region. Nothing bad's ever happened in Turkey.
That could be an entire episode unto itself.
Yeah, Armenia has entered the chat.
Oh, I shouldn't laugh at that. It's a horrible atrocity, but
Yeah,
just the casual way you slipped that in.
yeah.
Uh,
Gotta have a little dig, you know.
and it's funny because America loves to stick its nose in other countries' business, but
Ooh, so much.
it's like you even gave us an entire list of
A massive list here I found of the governments the United States has overthrown or attempted to overthrow since World War II. I'm gonna just read you out these ones it succeeded with. Iran, 1953, Guatemala, 1954, British Guiana, 1953 to 64, Iraq, 1963, Cambodia, 1955 to 70, Laos in 1958, 59, and 60. So, that one didn't stick. Ecuador, 1960 to 63, Congo, 1960, Brazil, 1962 to 64, Dominican Republic, 1963, Bolivia, 1964, Indonesia, 1965, Ghana, 1966, Chile, 1964 to 73, Greece, 1967, Bolivia, 1971, Australia, 1973 to 75, Portugal, 1974 to 76, Jamaica, 1976 to 80, Chad, 1981 to 82, Grenada, 1983, Fiji, 1987, Nicaragua, 1981 to 90, Panama, 1989, Bulgaria, 1990, Albania, 1991, Afghanistan in the 1980s, Yugoslavia, 1999 to 2000, Ecuador, 2000, Afghanistan, 2001, Venezuela, 2002, Iraq, 2003, Haiti, 2004, Honduras, 2009, Libya, 2011, and finally Ukraine in 2014. So quite a list there.
and we should probably state for the record that not all of these overthrown governments have led to the betterment of the people in those areas.
Well, look at South America, especially. They complained about all these migrants coming up from South America. Excuse me, who is it that completely destabilized the region? Oh, that's right, it was America.
They did the same in the Middle East.
Yeah. Complain about people coming from there as well. Excuse me, who destabilized the region? America.
When they can't even
And
get their
us.
own house in order or their own
Yeah.
political system to work for them, how the hell are we going to spread freedom and democracy to countries that have not benefited from it and you have had no plan for after going to dictate to go brrr.
Yeah.
It's like
Because America knows so much about freedom. Human Freedom Index rates them overall as the 17th freest nation, number 29 for personal freedom, and number 6 for economic freedom. Though I also found the Heritage Foundation, which ranked them as number 20 for economic freedom. I don't know which is more accurate, but either way, not super free, are they?
I was losing my patience at a show yesterday that was on ITV. It was called Billion Dollar Bond Street. And it's literally all about Bond Street in London and trying to manage the world's most expensive shops and things like that. And it was just two
Yeah.
posh twats walking down the street talking about how little 77 million meant to them as they spent it on a shop.
Jeez.
And I'm just
Look at those guys.
like the amount of money those people would probably have to pay in taxes if they didn't have all their money funneled in
Yeah.
offshore accounts would probably feed the entirety of Africa for a year.
Yeah, God.
Like,
And back to the point of other countries and freedom very quickly, I found this great tweet by Existential Comics at Existential Comms on Twitter. We have gulags, we just call it prison labor. We have secret police, we just call it undercover cops. We have brutal crackdowns on dissent. We just call it riot control. So it's a nice little summation of the freedoms you could expect in good old America that you'd hate in any other country. There's these horrible communist regimes, but, you have the same kind of things over there.
And it's funny as we make him sound like their greatest enemy. The last point I wanted to touch upon in the latest shambling shit show of politics is the G7 just happened. A meeting between seven of the most powerful leaders in the world, of the seven
God,
wealthiest
it was more than
nations.
seven. Just tons of other nations just kept turning up at this time. I was like, what? I
It's
was
because
starting to get kind of confused.
it's because it's the first summit there's been in like 2 years because
Mm,
coronavirus kind of cut the last one.
yeah.
But one of the key factors here was Biden meeting Boris Johnson and getting a bit handsy with Johnson's wife. But
Well, of course, that's just Biden fear. He
yeah,
likes to be a bit touchy feely, though. It's usually with the younger ones.
it's like, hey, maybe they'll brush his leg hair and tell him a story.
Honestly, I just hate that. It's one of the worst quotes ever.
I don't know where you thought that was going to
Why did he
turn you,
think
but
that was a good idea?
my grandkids are repulsed by my leg hair too. He's got my
Yeah.
vote. It's like,
It wasn't even like his grandkids. It was just some random kids at a pool he worked at that apparently they like to run their hands through his leg hair. Apparently. Absolute creeper.
thing is, well, he won't blow up and ruin your structures.
God.
Oh, but yes, one of the key aspects of the G7 was delivering vaccines worldwide, where we, amongst the G7, have promised to deliver 1 million doses, which is a start, though 11 million would be needed to
It would help if
ensure.
we, just got rid of the patent protections. I mean, these companies have made more than enough money already. Maybe they could start saving lives.
I mean, some of the copyrights have been waived already for like generic manufacturers to make them. I can't
Okay.
remember which ones, but I think it
Yeah,
might have
the
been
the big
Moderna.
companies are going to be trying to hold on of them as long as they can. AstraZeneca, Moderna, Johnson Johnson.
I,
They don't
as I,
want to miss out on a single dime
as I
because they
said, a
don't
couple of
care
them have.
about lives. They care only about money.
I think Biden got a couple of them waived.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think which
I
ones
don't know if
I
he did.
have
He
heard him.
wanted to. I don't know if he did.
Hmm. Anyway, I'm getting off topic.
Yeah.
So Kovacs is going to be in charge of that. But the other really big sort of topic was China, which don't worry, is going to get an episode all to itself. But this just
Hmm.
fits in nicely with what we're talking about here. Because at the previous G7 meeting, China didn't get a mention. This year, everyone was suddenly talking about China, if you'd believe Biden. And
Yeah.
basically, the G7 is setting out its own greener version of the Belt and Road plan that China has been implementing for the past few years. Now, to give a brief history of what the Belt and Road plan is, it was this giant sort of plan Xi Jinping had to basically put China's economics into like everyone around the world. They would create infrastructure, roads, and wanted to build a giant network between Asia, Europe, and Africa. But the problem with it is, A, it's not particularly eco-friendly, especially the means of construction. And
No.
B, they were basically loaning money to countries to put these infrastructure plans in place and build the props of it, only for those countries to get into massive amounts of debt they can't pay back.
No. China wouldn't do that. It's such a nice, friendly country, cares about the environment.
Now,
You
China have
definitely don't have
refused.
to wear masks because the smog's that bad that you would die
Now,
if
China
you don't.
has refuted the claims of like intentional debt and countries getting themselves trapped in a hole, but That's not what I'm here to talk about today.
Everyone's friend China.
So basically, the Belt and Road Plan is like, as I said, massive, bold initiative to link the world on sort of infrastructure and transport networks in easier ways. The US now wants to do the same with the help of the G7. The only problem is nobody knows how it's going to get funded.
Yeah.
And a plan like that will require a lot of money, considering China has already spent upwards of billions of dollars on this plan.
It's insane. It's so unreasonable.
And the reason I say that it's very impossible to do is because you're probably going to need about, I don't know, being conservative, maybe 5 trillion minimum to achieve some of the goals of what the Belt and Road Plan set out to do. And even more so if you're looking to invest in green energy outlets for the countries you're putting them in. Now, what a lot of this is a cynical ploy to have the world be lenient on America and the Western superpowers over China. It's the same thing.
No.
It's the same reason why we've got such a vaccine rollout plan now,
America
because
are the good guys.
China and Russia have been ahead on that for months. Sure, they've been doing it for political favor as well, but they at least acted quicker when. But the real point I'm trying
no
to
one's the good guy in this. The
no,
least we can say, though, is at least they're not China
like
or
genuinely,
Russia. I would
there's the-
rather it be America, no matter how terrible and scummy they are, because at least they're not China or Russia. They're
which
worse.
which boot would your eyes be crushed under? The one with hideous
Yeah.
surveillance and human rights violations, or the one with McDonald's?
I, for one, just can't wait until the AI overlords take over and we live in our glorious globalist future, ruled by robots.
And the real fun thing is he can't even get a $2 trillion infrastructure bill through the House without having to capitulate massively to Republicans who hate renewable energy, who hate foreign policy unless it's calling other people
They
the
just
enemy.
hate foreign. Let's be real. They take out policy. Republicans hate foreign.
And it won't just be pushback from Republicans, it'll be pushback from any politician that is lobbied by either coal or bloody energy companies. Because they're not going to want to give up their like hotspot yet. Environment be damned, give us money. We don't want green energy in other countries. We want to feed them coal.
They're slowly dying out. That massive pipeline, that collapsed. That's not happening anymore.
Yeah, finally. It only took 13 years.
Because, Biden showed up and he was like, no, I'm not letting it happen. So the company that was doing it just went, guess it's not happening. Sure, people are losing out on jobs and a big chunk of money, but at least we're not destroying the planet that we live on anymore.
It's like for all we're ragging on Biden, he will do something if he's motivated to. But right now, it seems
Yeah.
like he's completely
God,
unmotivated to get his
how many
one
executive orders
infrastructure
did he
bill
sign
through.
at the beginning? It was insane.
Yeah,
Not that executive orders are really democratic, are they? It's just one guy deciding what he wants to do.
there was so much hope like six months ago, and now he's completely ground to a halt. There's so much infighting in his party. They're going to start throwing out paintball guns and reenacting Community. There's just so much messiness.
The problem is, people forget that Biden isn't progressive. He isn't left wing. He's, your typical center right corporate Democrat. Always has been. Always will be.
I think
Just puts on this facade.
I can't remember where I saw this tweet, but I saw this tweet like 3 months ago,
Mm.
and it perfectly sums up the situation America is slowly finding itself in. And it was, I voted for a Biden presidency, not the consequences of a Biden presidency.
Yeah. God.
And
Like, the most anyone can say is, well, at least he's not Trump.
Yeah,
He's better than Trump.
I mean, almost anything will be better than Trump by the end of his tenure. Like by
Yeah,
the end of. Remember when we
God.
thought he was a meme?
It was quite funny at the beginning, yeah.
It's like the
Just
funny,
funny orange man trying to be president. Hilarious. That's not gonna happen. Oh shit, it happened.
and he fucked up a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't even
with
know how the
no
hell.
political experience and a massive backlog of failed businesses and enterprises.
Mm,
God, I can't imagine why he'd do a terrible job in some aspects. Like everyone says he's just a great businessman. No, he's not. How many failed businesses does he have? Anyone remember Trump Steaks, Trump Vodka, Trump University? He failed at running a casino. How do you fail with a casino? It's impressive.
but he had such humble beginnings. He was given a small loan of $1 million and he made it work.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't just that. He got a nice cushy job in his dad's company, I'm pretty sure. They, didn't give houses to black people because they were horribly racist people.
Uh, so as you can see, despite us mocking the current American political system and the party in charge, this has lasted for decades and generations. There's something inherently broken about the American system, and the fact that they seem to continuously be unwilling to change even the smallest detail of it kind of proves how stuck in the past they are. Like the
You want to
founding,
know what the broken thing is? It's the reliance on capitalism. Now, I'm not pushing for communism because that's also stupid and doesn't work. But the fact is, with lobbying, you can just buy your politicians. You buy government, you buy laws and bills. The fact that politicians can be bought so much just destroys democracy. You can't have a democratic system when it's not the will of all the people, it's the will of the people with the most money.
I think that sums it up perfectly.
I think it does.
So if that ends our show, this has been the Armchair Politicast. It is Monday. We still haven't figured out a proper schedule yet, but
When we want to.
just kind of bear with us. This is going quite well,
Yeah, it's
and
pretty fun.
we will be back sometime next week with another episode. I've been John Dinsdale. He's been Carl Varley. Be sure to check out the YouTube, subscribe, whatever. Marketing, networking. Just follow us. We'll do something.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.